You are listening to We Are Not Experts, an airplane building podcast. Today's episode was recorded on November 21st, 2025, shortly after Chris and Tim spent a full hour trying to determine whether anything was actually recording, whether any settings had changed, and whether either of them knew how computers work at all. On this episode, a near canoe flip, forward skin yoga, and the rarest event in RV8 building, a riveting session with zero do-overs. And now, broadcasting from his home studio in Cut and Shoot, Texas, where he will absolutely not be coming in confidently after this intro because he still isn't sure if the mic is on. Here's Chris.
We're recording in progress.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're just going to start because of all the things that we are not good at, this is near the top of the list or the bottom list. I don't know how that ranking works when you're ranking something bad.
That's bad? Yeah, is it worst at the top or is it?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Holy crap. We've been sitting here for an hour trying to figure out how to do something that we've done 11 times before and it's not working. And I am
not successfully 11 times before though.
No, but not such a fantastic failure is what this has been. So now we're recording on Zoom. We had been using Riverside FM, which is supposed to be like a turnkey, easy to use platform, especially for a remote hosting podcast like this. It ain't working. And I think that it's on Riverside's end and not ours, and not happy about it. Anyways, welcome back to We Are Not Experts. It's an airplane building podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Tim.
And this is episode 12 of what we are sure will be more than 12 episodes. We're fairly certain that that's how it's going to turn out. So Tim and I were talking before we got this thing started, and one of the things that we agreed was like, hopefully there will come a time when we have enough of these out there and our throngs of fans, among them will be some tech nerds who would love to take on the challenge and be a part of this community by being the ones who actually edit the podcast and bring some real production value to it.
Because we can't.
No, there's, last week, we were talking about how much time it takes to, how much extra time it takes to maintain the YouTube channel for our builds respectively. And this adds another layer of complication. Quite honestly, you'd think that it wouldn't be harder, but it feels harder to me to do this than it is to record the videos. And probably just because there are more moving pieces with the remote recording. But we are here now. Tim, how the hell are you?
Well, shit, I'm frustrated. Guess I shouldn't have dropped that already, but
yeah,
it's been an interesting hour, everybody. And we've already been recording for an hour. Well, I guess we haven't been recording, but
we've been trying.
We've been trying.
Yeah. The good news is we haven't like used up any content in that time. It was mostly just cursing and saying, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I get an echo. I have an echo."
Hear me now? Yeah.
And,
no, we haven't talked about anything.
Yeah.
Nothing productive airplane wise, anyways.
Well, let's talk about this. Today is November 21st, 2025. As we said, this is episode 12. And we're back in the swing of this. Tim has stayed in the swing of building the whole time, and I am getting back into the swing. I've been doing some building, just not on my airplane.
That's right. You have officially been building on an airplane, on an RV8 recently.
Yeah.
As of last Sunday.
Which was awesome.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Chris came out last Sunday and helped me with the riveting on, well, the forward skins. I think I optimistically said in the intro of that video, we'll see how far we get. Yeah, I think I knew going into it how far we might possibly get. And it wasn't going to be the whole canoe.
You know what? I know that it was fatiguing because of the gymnastics that you had to do in there. And then on my end, it was slower than I think it necessarily would have had to been otherwise, except that there were so many changes in rivet sizes that I couldn't, in the way that we were working, I couldn't just have like an open bowl of a certain size of rivets right there because I would most certainly knock them down and dump them. So every time we went to the next rivet, there was always a process of set down the rivet gun, reach into that tiny little Ziploc bag, get my fat fingers in there, pull one out. So it added time doing all of that and made you spend more time in those awkward positions with the seatbelt bracket going up your ass.
Yeah, the seatbelt bracket, the crotch bracket, as it were, is in exactly the wrong place for any kind of laying down you have to do in that thing. It's in your side, it's in your back, it's in your kidneys. So it's not fun. I'm amazed I haven't bent it yet, because I'm not exactly a small guy, and I was all over that thing. But
I was wondering if at a certain point you're like, you know what? I don't even want seatbelts anymore. I don't want them.
I definitely don't need this one. Yeah.
I'm just going to put
It,
a big fat pad glued to the inside of the canopy. So if I bump my head, I'll be
done.
okay.
Be fine. Flip
Yeah.
upside down. It'll be all right. I mean, it wasn't without its trials. Early on, if anybody's watched the video, which is out there now, you'll realize there was an almost canoe flipping event.
Uh-huh.
CG is important in airplanes, ladies and gentlemen. It is very, very important. When my weight shifted forward, the plane went with it, and there's not a lot of weight on that tail, and it came up off the sawhorse. And then when I felt it move, I immediately leaned back, which made it come slamming back down on the sawhorse, which if you look close at the video, you'll notice there's a bucking bar sitting on that little ledge right there that is not there when it lands. You can hear it hit the floor skins, which
Oh, really?
I
And
have
you can't
no
even see where it
idea.
hit.
Nope. I have no idea how it didn't dent it. It didn't hurt the Cerakote on the floor, which is kind of impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hit the floor. So if you ever watch it again, listen, you'll hear it fall, because after the whole thing settles, you'll hear the bucking bar hit the floor inside the plane. It's like, oh,
I will say this.
crap.
We all know that by reputation, the RV8 is nose heavy. But I never would have suspected that it would be nose heavy without an engine hanging off the front. But now we found out that it is nose heavy, even with nothing forward of the firewall.
To be fair, there's nothing aft either. I mean, there's no empennage on there to help hold it down. And you put the bucket of Clecos on the tail, and I mean, that was more than enough to hold it the rest of the time, because I didn't. Once I got comfortable that it wasn't going to do it again, I didn't have an issue with crawling all the way up in there and leaning forward and all that. But that could have been bad.
Yeah, it could have been bad. When it happened, it was quick, and I'm like, yeah, nothing happened, right? A little banging, a little noise and stuff like that. But then when I watched the video and I thought about it, like, imagine, because the way that it's set on that table, and there's the cross member, the edge of the table there. Tim has a table, and the tabletop is slats, and so he has a couple of slats in there, and the fuselage center section is sitting on top of that. Then beyond that, there's an open space so that you can imagine a table that only has half of a tabletop in it. That's kind of what it's sitting on. So when the fuselage tipped forward, the forward end of the fuselage, at this point, the forward end of the canoe, which would be the firewall, came down, and it couldn't continue going all the way forward because there was the edge of the table there. But if it had been set up differently, imagine that if you had set it up where the whole table was topped, like all the slats were in, the whole table was topped, and you just had it scooted back so that the part was being supported, and there was nothing forward of it.
Yeah.
I thought of it, and I thought, if that thing tipped up that way, it could just slide right off the end, and then I wouldn't be the only one who needed to order a fuselage kit.
It would no longer have been a canoe. It would have been a toboggan, and it would have been on its way downhill.
That would have been.
Well, and the other bad thing, and I went back there to check, was the tail coming back down.
Yeah.
Had that just been on the belly skins back there, it would have dented the crap out of it.
Banged the hell out of it. Yeah.
But thankfully, it was sitting underneath the tail spring mount that was under the edge of that. And I mean, that's what saved it all. So yeah, nothing, as far as we know, nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
Everything's straight. Nothing got bent.
Yeah.
It just sounded horrendous.
Looking at it on the video and then thinking about it, it's like stopping and looking and thinking about it, and like, it could have gone so horribly. Because also, if it had been that, like if it had just slid right off the front like that, not only like you were already in an awkward position.
Oh, it would
It
have hurt.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, you would have turned like that firewall into a taco shell.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. It would have done so much damage. So let that be a lesson to anybody out there. Be very careful when you get to that stage, especially if you think you're going to climb in it.
yeah,
Know where the CG is, know where that pivot point is, and respect the hell out of it, because you saw it only took a second. Weren't even thinking about it, and
yeah.
it almost got real ugly.
Dang, that was some spooky business. And that was right at the very, very start. I think that we hadn't
Very
even set
beginning.
one rivet at that point.
No, we were looking at it like, how are we going to get down here? What are we going to start with?
Oh, that's
Which way
right. So
were
we
going to go?
decided that we were going to start at that very forward bottom corner and work our way back. Like, let's start with the most awkward stuff first.
Yep. The auxiliary longerons is what we
right.
started with.
We thought
because
that
you
it would
don't
be,
rivet the lower ones yet.
yeah. So, and our thought was it would be awkward because of just the weird reach and everything like that. We didn't think it would be awkward because we could potentially just destroy the whole airplane before. As you said, I think in the video, like you almost crashed your airplane and it doesn't even have wings.
That's a special kind of special right there.
Did we mention we're not experts?
Yeah, that proves it. But I mean, on the flip side, I don't know how many rivets we set because I didn't count, and I have no desire to count them.
This is stunning. This is a stunning thing. I'm just going to brace everybody. There's a stunning revelation.
He knows what's coming. We didn't screw up a single rivet. We didn't have to go drill out any rivets. The only ones that didn't set right were because we underset them, and we just hit them a little bit more, and they were good. We didn't screw up any of them. Now, when he left, I screwed up like 4 trying to set what was left. And then I gave up because I lacked the tools to set what needs to be set. But that's a whole nother conversation here in a minute. But for the forward end, yeah. And in the video, midway through, you notice we get to the rivets that are on that center plate, which is inside of that gear tower.
Yeah.
Once my hand is in there, I can't see. It's like doing the wings all over again. I can get my hand in there. Yeah, but I can't see them. I have to bucket and then pull the rivet out, stick a light in there, look at it. Yep, it's set, or no, it's not set, hit it again. But the access was still good. The worst ones, for me anyways, were the top 2 in that gear tower that's along the longeron. You can't reach I can't reach them because my hands are not small enough to get through that little hole at the top of the bucking bar. And the only bucking bar we had that would really reach is that long boot shaped looking one I've got. And it just barely kind of reached. I think I need to find something better because there are 5 more that have to be set in there.
I'm actually nervous about those because those were so difficult to set. And I'm like, there's a gang more of them to do. And
there is
the ones that will be added to that there's potentially that big bucking bar is it's going to interfere, like the ones that the rivets have already been set are going to interfere with placing that bucking bar. So it's just weird. That's the one not the one terrible spot, the most terrible spot and all of that. But the fact that it was a lot of rivets that we set, and the fact that we were able to flow through it and not destroy anything. I think that the acrobatics that you had to do for this riveting, the acrobatics were worse than what you had to do for the wings, but overall I think that this was easier than riveting the bottom skins of the wings.
For sure. This was easier. I mean, in the end I was laying down up front, and the only parts up front that were really bad was what I did to myself, because if I just undid the 2 fittings going to the fuel pump and unbolted it and pulled it out, we wouldn't have had to work around it and it would have been fine. But at that point we were both like, no, we can reach it. And we did. We got them. It was a pain.
Right. So, lesson learned for me, like when I do that, there won't be a fuel pump there.
You definitely want the mounts in. So I mean, I was right putting the mounts in, because I can't imagine going in there now and trying to set where that's going to go and get that drilled and riveted.
To get the whole body out of there.
But then, pull the fuel pump back out, put the skins on, and then reach over the top and just set it back in there. Especially if you have an access
serious
panel.
Negotiating, trying to work that bucking bar in there and get it to get it on. It all got done. But maybe some unnecessary aggravation. And then the whole business with the fuel selector.
Oh, the fuel. I forgot all about it. I don't even think I mentioned that in the video.
I don't think you did either.
Okay. So honesty hour here. So I did the beautiful fuel selector, got the brace in there, and I left it all installed, knowing we would at least have to take that top panel off so we'd get access to rivet that row. And then when we got to riveting that longeron, I also realized, well, the screws are in there and they're in the way of a couple of the rivets we have to set. That's not going to work. So I went to pull, I took the top plate out, we took the valve out, and then I went to take the bracket out. And I thought I had only temporarily put that bracket in. I thought I had the screws in the auxiliary longeron with no nuts on them just to hold it in place. And then I had the one screw that was going through a nut plate on the other side. Well, when we took it all apart, I couldn't move the brace. So I undid the screw.
You couldn't move the brace, and you were.
I couldn't move the screws.
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't even spin them, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong because I was like, there's nothing holding them in. I thought they were wedged. So I took the screw out of the nut plate. So now there's nothing holding it except two screws that should have not had nuts on them and just sitting in holes. So I thought, oh God, this thing got wedged when we put the skin on.
Yeah. Like you seemed convinced, and I believed you, that once we started riveting those skins on, that section just tightened up and that thing was just wedged in there. And we were talking about, oh, do you have screw extractors? Maybe we got to find a way to get these out of here. Like, it can't stay this way.
Yeah. So what did we do? We tried an impact gun on it.
Yeah.
We tried screwdrivers. The screws weren't moving. Then I think you had the bright idea of, I feel something on the bottom of it.
I reached my hand underneath it to see what was happening when you tried to turn the screws. And I'm like, feels like there's a nut on these screws.
Yeah. So,
but
at
you
some
had
point,
banged
I put
on
nuts.
this thing with a rubber mallet trying to get it loose.
Yeah, I was convinced it was wedged in there. So yeah, I put nuts on it. I didn't remember putting nuts on it. I knew it had to come out again, so I thought I didn't do that. Apparently, I did do that. But once we took those nuts off, it came out like a dream. Like it was built to go there. So that was dumb.
Here's what I remember after that happened was you said, man, like I guess I was so tired I don't even remember doing that. Like you said something like, I shouldn't come out here and build when I'm tired. And I said that, like, the good news is that when you are tired, you make it safer.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not half-assing it. I'm going beyond.
Yeah.
That was an embarrassing moment. Almost as bad as flipping the canoe over. Actually, no, I think that was actually worse than almost flipping the canoe over. We overcame it.
Yeah.
It wasn't the end of the world. The rest of the rivets went well. Like you said, the big slowdown was having to read the rivet call out sheet. And there's just so many different places. And there were a few places where I think we still ran into what Vans called for wasn't long enough.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to go to a longer rivet. So, I mean, that's another gotcha right there. I know they say, early on in the plans that sometimes they call for rivets that seem too thin, but it'll be okay. But my take is, if it doesn't interfere with something and you have the right length rivet, put the right length rivet in it.
Yeah. I think that at this point in the build for any builder, you can, as soon as you put a rivet in the hole, you've seen enough, if that's too small, that's too big or whatever.
Yeah. And
I think that that might be part of it. When you get into the plans here, because we know that there are remnants of old parts of plans that just didn't sort of get updated when other things were changed, You know, for example, maybe they added a doubler somewhere or something like that, and not everything. The plans are not perfect. We know that.
Yeah.
But certainly we're at a point like you definitely want the empennage everything to be super explicit. But at this point, general guidelines are good enough.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where we're at. You saw the step we were doing. It just said rivet on the forward skins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was the whole step. And it, involved in, 2,334 sub steps.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's okay. It worked out. We got everything on the forward skins. We finished it. We skipped ahead. We did all the flush rivets, and then we decided to change out the rivet set to do the few 470 rivets that we had to do on the forward skins, which are around the spar pocket.
So
And
those would be universal head rivets that they're not going
yeah,
to be in the airstream. They're going to be tucked inside the joint where the wing and the wing fairing and all that meets up to the fuselage.
yeah. So they don't need to be flush. And we changed out the set to go put those on. And at the time, there's an inside row around the spar, and then there's an outside row that goes around the center spar. And we did the outside ones because we could easily reach them. I could get them with the bucking bar, you could get them with the rivet gun. And I looked at the inside ones from where I was in the fuselage saying, don't worry about it. I'll just get them with the squeezer, which makes sense. They're on the edge. And I thought that was going to be easy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I don't have a squeezer set that will fit in there because the spar pocket is 1 7/8 inches wide, I think, and it's 8 inches tall. And then the space you have behind to reach in with the squeezer depth wise starts as narrow as a half inch, which doesn't include the space you need for the rivet to stick through. And then it opens all the way up to almost an inch. That's
Mhm.
what you have to work with. And to take a regular squeezer yoke, big C yoke, and stick it in there, you can only turn it so much before the back of the yoke is now hitting the side of the opening, and you can't turn it far enough to get it onto a rivet. I think I was able to set 2
Yeah.
total.
Hmm.
So then I thought, okay, I'll just shoot and buck them. Except I have the same problem. I don't have a bucking bar that I can easily fit in there. And even though mine has an angled surface on it and I could angle it, I can't get my hand in there with it to angle it in the spar pocket
Hmm.
and shoot the rivet. And you can't do it from the other side because the whole thing is enclosed. So, um, yeah, it's a problem. I think I could probably do it if I could get enough weight behind it with that really small bucking bar that you had, which I don't think we ever showed on camera. I
Yeah.
think you have on another video, but it's a very tiny,
Yeah.
thin, wedge-shaped bucking bar. That one might work. I'm just afraid because they're dash 4 rivets that we wouldn't be able to hold it tight enough to actually be able to do it, but maybe we would.
Yeah.
Um, they do make, Cleveland makes, and I think I found one someplace else, a 1-inch no hole squeezer yoke.
Yeah.
I reached out to my friend Hisham at Clemson Aeronautics. He doesn't have one, but he's modifying something to send me to try.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm holding off on the rest of those interior rivets until I get that, and then we'll see what I get, and I'll give it a shot and see if it goes from there. If not,
Yeah. I mean, I know
we-
they make them. I've seen them.
yeah,
And I think that maybe I've seen one on Slink Air's channel. Because he
possibly.
gets every
Yeah,
cool tool. He gets
I
every
think he
cool tool.
used it. I think I've seen him use it like inside of holes, which you had asked me because you couldn't get the rivet gun on one of those outside ones.
Yeah.
Oh, just get it with the squeezer. I have the same problem. I can't get any of my yokes
Yeah.
to get through that access hole that's right there behind it
Yeah.
with the yokes I have. So yeah, it's an interesting problem. It's one I didn't think I'd be running into at this point on the build. I thought by now I would have all the tools that I possibly need
Right.
because I've run into everything, but it just goes to
You know
show you
what?
never know.
Yeah. But I didn't think about it until just now. And I think maybe as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, you could do that, but then I guess maybe you hold on to it in case somebody new ones later. And then I'm like, wait a minute. There are probably 2 or 3 of those things floating around a Conroe airport right now. we could talk to Joe or somebody, and you would know who has one that, we could borrow for a day.
Probably. I keep forgetting I have full access to an entire EAA chapter.
Right. Yeah.
With people that have all the tools in the world, or at least every tool I probably don't have.
We do two things. One is we talk frequently about the resources we have at our disposal in terms of just knowledge and help and tools, etc. That's one thing that we do. And then the other thing that we do is when we run into a problem, we're in the middle of nowhere. We have no resources. Completely, like we just completely space on the fact that really, like for my house, it's a 20-minute drive to get that.
Yeah.
But we do this as human beings, as like, and it's a curious thing to me, this thing that we do. We will have a question about something, you and I or any two people, and we'll talk about it for 45 minutes without ever once just picking up your phone and asking Google or ChatGPT, or like the answer is right there. And I think that it's just a stubbornness that we really want to rely on we want to prove to ourselves that something that's contained inside our head has value still.
Although to be fair, chat was absolutely no help about an hour ago when
useless. I think
you were making sure that your name was on the list when the machines take over to get eradicated first.
Oh, I'm at the top of that list. I spend so much time hurling insults at ChatGPT for just making stuff up, but speaking with authority.
Yeah.
But I'm onto it. I'm onto it. I recognize it much more quickly now.
Yeah. I don't use it for things like that, so I don't run into that often. I use it for its creative abilities.
Yeah.
Which serves me well. I use it, I mentioned before, for all the YouTube stuff, and that has made life a lot easier, because with as many videos as we have and all the time we take to make these videos in addition to building the plane, it definitely helps make life easier. Speaking of building the plane, I did not get anywhere after you left.
Mm-hmm.
I attempted those rivets we talked about.
Yeah.
I did some creative brake stuff. And then that's it. I had all these high intentions of, I'm going to get all these rivets that I can squeeze done. I'm going to do this. I haven't even gone out there and cleaned up. So I've just been so busy all week, and it's like, I don't have motivation to go out there right now.
Right. But you did a lot of, the work that you did, what Tim is talking about was, he wasn't happy with kind of the way that the brake lines were running and being retained and whatnot, and discussed some ideas and came up with a really elegant solution to that. And that turned out brilliantly. And that had to be a significant amount of time to design those parts. And
there's a lot of iterations, like anything I make.
Yeah.
Any 3D printed part. If you go through all of my files, I think those clips are up to version 8 or something, because I'll start with the initial idea and I print it, and it's like, nope, that doesn't work. I need to fix this or tweak that or change it. And then you do this, and it's like, oh, that works. And then I showed it to George, who originally suggested it. And he's like, oh, I would add some way to add a zip tie to it. And it's like, shit, why didn't I think of that? Go back, redesign it again, and a couple more iterations to make the zip tie fit. And it's like, there's several hours. I don't take account for any of that time on my build log either, but I don't even want to know how many hours I probably have into designing 3D parts and tools and stuff like that to try and make my life easier.
Yeah. But there was time spent on that, but if you had just gone out into the market and tried to find something that did what you want, you certainly could find it. You would have spent as much time trying to find something that wouldn't do it as well as what you ended up creating. You'd be slapping pieces together. You'd be like digging through like a 4-inch thick Ranger manual, trying to look at every type of clamp that they have.
Figure out what fits, what doesn't fit.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and not only did you come up with something that works really well, that was time well spent, but every time you do that, you are building upon a skill. So the next time you go back to do that, you're designing in iterations, it all becomes more efficient. So I think that's time really well spent. And man, the result is pretty slick, especially the bracket that you built to mount all that too. It's another thing that you've done recently that is from your own brain. Ultimately, the finished product's from your own brain, but when you look at it, it looks like it's factory built. So,
Oh, you're talking about the bracket that goes on the bulkhead, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that didn't watch the video or don't know what we're talking about, where the brake lines pass under the instrument panel to go down to the brake pedals and the master cylinders, there's 4 lines that go down there, 2 that go to the reservoir that are on the outside, and then there's 2 on the inside that go from the pedals all the way to the brakes. And the 2 on the inside go through bulkhead fittings, and there's a nice little bracket from Vans that's riveted there that those bulkhead fittings attach to. But then to hold the outside lines in place, because they're just, in Van's world, they would be solid aluminum tubes up to a point. Or no, they'd be tubes all the way. Either way, they'd be tubes. Or no, that's where the plastic tubes go. They're plastic tubes. You would put 8L clamps on those, and then you would put a bigger 8L clamp that goes around the bulkhead fitting that's there. And you do the double 8L clamp thing where you bolt them to each other and hold it in place. And it looks like a great idea. And I don't know if I've got the wrong fittings or what, but I used the fittings that Vans called for. I used the 8L clamps they called for. And with the TS Flightline brake lines I have, the 8L clamps would not sit on the bulkhead fittings themselves. They clamped onto the B-nuts from the hoses, which is not a good thing because on one side, the weight of the hose will tighten it, which I guess is okay. But on the other side, the weight of the hose will pull down and loosen it. So over time, vibrations, G's on the plane, whatever, it's going to want to pull that other side down. And I didn't like that idea. And I know that's not how Vans intended it because they show it clearly, completely on the fitting and not on the B-nut. So I cut a piece of aluminum angle out in a couple of spaces, made notches on it so that it went over the bulkhead fittings to create a bracket that was mounted in place. And then it had 2 little pads sitting off the side that you could just bolt 8L clamps to. And yeah, it looks nice. It looks nice now that it's done, and it's way more secure than what was there before. Looks like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with the way that came out. So I don't have to worry about that. And then you were talking about the clips. I'm sitting here fidgeting with one. I didn't even think about it, but there's for those that are watching and didn't know, that's what the clips look like. And they fit on those TS flight lines. And then there's the bigger one I made.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Bolt to the floor with the standoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because on the baggage floor where these pass under, normally they're not mounted to anything. Vans just has those hoses zip tied together and they just stay up out of the way, I guess. So these, I have 2 holes in the baggage floor now that are countersunk, and these will bolt to the bottom of the floor, and then the hoses will clip into it. And then if I ever need to take the baggage floor out, I can reach in through my access panel, pop the hoses out of these clips, unscrew the baggage panel, and just pull the whole thing out. Whereas if these were 8L clamps, I would have to reach up in there on one side, hold a nut while somebody got in through the baggage compartment with a screwdriver and undid 8L clamps or something else to get to it. So
yeah,
this seemed easier.
Yeah, that's a great solution. And yeah, I don't like the idea of them just sort of flopping around. I mean, there's a fair amount of stiffness and tension in those lines once everything's put together, but nonetheless, it just, from the outside, the airplane looks like a finished thing, right? And then you look inside these Vans aircraft inside, and then to be honest, it looks kind of home built. Things are exposed and sort of naked, and so these little, to me, these little finishes, these little things are meaningful, because I want it to look. Ultimately, I want it to look. I mean, the exception to the rule would be the RV10. But so certainly you can do that, but most of the time when I see like an RV8, it looks pretty naked inside.
Yeah, they're usually pretty basic. The 7s, the 8s.
Yeah,
depending on who built it and the level they take it to.
Yeah.
And I can see where you get there too, because you spend so much time building the rest of the plane. By the time you get to the interior parts, it's like, I just want to fly this damn thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
slap some spray paint on it, call it good. Let's get it in the air.
Hey,
And
I was just thinking, like talking about that, the sort of look of the interior. Um, this is really like a hard left turn on the topic we're talking about, but did you see um uh Citation Mac's new video about his super decathlon?
uh
So
I
he
have
bought a
not.
super decathlon. In the video, he just posted it like sometime in the last 2 days. You're familiar with his channel, right?
Yes.
Okay. I always like his videos. But as we know, he's always flying the Latitude or the Citation or whatever they have right now. Sometimes he's flying a Cirrus, but he ended up buying a super decathlon. Um, Obviously got his tail wheel rating, and then he spent like 6 weeks just flying it every single day um, to become really proficient with the tail wheel, and he's in love with it. So the video is he had taken it down to not to Gillespie Field down in San Diego to get the interior and the panel redone. And then in the video, he's kind of describing this is where I got the airplane, and then he's flying it back to Camarillo. Um, all that to say, I like seeing this kind of video from Max, um, more of the GA kind of low and slow with a really,
Then
cool airplane.
yeah, then the fancy high end, we'll never
Yeah.
get to fly them in our lives
Yeah.
airplanes. Yeah.
But one thing I've thought about before, and I kind of thought about it a little bit again, was he still wanted to maintain some of that aesthetic in the panel. So he does have like a, the stacked audio panel radio navigator over here. But then he went with, and I forget the name of them, but the Garmin round, like
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
yeah,
Those are real nice, but man, are they expensive.
yeah. But there's
They're more money
something,
than the G3Xs.
yeah, they're super cool. Obviously, money's not a concern in his world
Yeah.
when it comes to airplane stuff. But one thing that I liked about them when I thought about them before, I'm probably going to go G3X with my panel. But in this context of an RV8 and the look of the RV8, having round gauges in there,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
looks cool.
I thought about it at one point too. I thought about those because they look so nice, but then I found out how expensive they are. And I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, I can't justify that. And then the AV30s, one of my early panel iterations,
yeah,
because you can do a lot with the AV30. You can control autopilots with it. It has all the different displays. So I was like, man, if you get a few of those plus some other key instruments, you could do the same thing. But
yeah,
then it came down to now you need an engine monitor, you need this, you need that. And by the time, even if you just do two AV30s, by the time you add up all of the other stuff you would have lost by just not putting in a G3X or a Dynon
right.
system, you spend twice as much money. And that's where it just didn't make any sense anymore. It's like, well, I'm just doing it for the aesthetic now of having the cool round gauges
And
that
that
do
really
everything.
is that
Yeah.
really is what it is. So if you look at his panel, I believe it does presently have a 6-pack, three of which are those, and I forget the nomenclature,
Yeah. I
but
can't remember what they
and
are,
so
but
one of them is
they're
an engine
nice.
monitor. So one of them is his engine monitor, set up that way. One obviously is artificial horizon and all that business. He's still got the regular turn coordinator and the VSI, and so the other one must be like bottom center, like the
The HSI.
HSI. Yeah,
Yeah.
but very cool. But I'm excited that he's going to be start to do this kind of content.
Yeah, I need to go look for that. It's a great plane. It's fun to fly, so I could totally see
Yeah,
the appeal of that one.
yeah.
And I need to go fly.
The other
I
thing that
miss
was kind
flying.
of funny about it, so he said that in the video it's June. So, he's been sitting on this quite a while before he edited it all together, which is kind of normal for him. His content doesn't come out quickly. He puts some time into it. Um, but he's like, it is so hot. You can see him. He's sweating his ass off in that plane, just trying to get out of Gillespie. And he's like, it's like 88, like 90 degrees.
Ugh.
I wish.
Yeah.
What a cool, refreshing day that would be here.
Yeah. Houston's a special kind of,
Yeah.
it's a special kind of hot.
Yeah.
We'll see if I regret not putting in that second that second neck event in Gasper.
Oh, I mean, it's not going to do you a lot of good on the ground. So what's the point?
That's true. At that point, you just leave the canopy open and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Uh, before I forget about it, because I want to say it in here, because I don't know when the next video is going to come out now with my lack of build. I did add these things to the store, and I thought long and hard about it. I did go add STL files for sale on the store. So anything I 3D print and sell, the only thing I don't think I've put on there yet are the fairings for the power plugs, only because I figured if somebody was ordering the rest of it, it's no big deal to throw the fairing in there anyways. But everything else, the STL is available on there. So hopefully I've got it set up right and it works, and you can just download the file when you buy it.
I have not looked
we'll
at
see.
your store, and you asked me, you sent me a text yesterday saying, should I do this? And I'm like, definitely. And then I wrote a long text response about pricing it. And then I was like at a Friendsgiving thing. And then I was leaving there and I ran into a store to grab a Coke Zero. And I paid with Apple Pay. And then I looked at my phone and I didn't actually send that text to you. That had my ideas on how. I think I sent you a text that said you need to think carefully about how you price the STL files, but then I wrote a long follow-up to it. I never actually sent it. I don't know how you price them, but I had ideas about how they should be priced.
Well, nothing's set in stone. So the way I price them, one, I spent some time talking to Chat GPT
Yeah.
on how
Good.
I should price them. And
Yeah.
I went back and forth on different things. And I went off the premise of, if you're downloading the file, then you're obviously not going to buy the item from me. You're going to be downloading it so you can print it. So I wanted people to be able to save money, because that's the whole point to doing that, and being able to have the versatility to print yourself. But at the same time, I don't want to lose out on all the time I spent designing it and doing what else. And even though I throw all those caveats in there, this is just for your personal use and don't share this, don't do that, there's bound to be people that are going to
100%.
steal it, do whatever they want to do with it, print it for friends. So I get it. So I tried to price it so that the STL file is cheaper than if you're buying something that you would normally buy in a set, like the clips or those conduit clamps. The STL file is significantly cheaper than buying what would have been a full set of those. Versus if you were buying something, I don't have it on the desk anymore, but if you're buying, so this thing, like the NAC event that's on there now. You would only ever buy maybe one or two of these. You don't need a whole set. So the file for this is cheaper than what the individual one of these would have been. So I tried to keep it fair to the end user so that they weren't getting screwed over, and it was still a good deal for them. But at the same time, I wasn't losing a whole lot. I guess it is for the clips, because those things add up quick when you start buying a whole bunch of them. But still, hopefully it's fair for everybody. So that's how I came up with it. I don't know if that's what you were thinking when you typed the long thing that I never got, but
I'm thinking
that's where I went.
I mean, obviously I'm thinking from a business standpoint. And knowing that I mean, you could technically, but not really. You can't protect your IP here, your intellectual property. And somebody will take it and maybe make money off it. People will definitely iterate off of it. That's a good thing if they're iterating.
That is a good thing.
Right, coming up with other ideas for it. But at the end of the day, you put a lot of time and effort into it, and you should be compensated for that. If you're putting it up on a store, the point of the store is you wouldn't call it a store, right? If there was an exchange of money. So, so my thought was that any person who is thinking about, especially something that comes in a set like the clips, right? If they're thinking about downloading the file or purchasing the file to download, it has to be something that they put thought into. It can't be so cheap that it's a no-brainer. So they have to decide, am I buying this file because I might want to make 10, or I might want to make 20, I might want to make 30, like who knows? or am I buying the file just because I can get it more quickly than if I had Tim make them for me? Am I paying for the convenience, or am I paying for the scalability? And so I think that the price should be very close to what the minimum size set would be.
That's fair thinking. I didn't think about the convenience factor of I can just print them and have them now as
Yeah.
opposed to wait for them. So
Yeah. But that's just me kind of no real prior background in, like, how do you price this? So that was kind of me thinking of it. And that was what was contained in that long text that I didn't send.
the text that I never got.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting. I mean, it's still a very niche thing.
Oh yeah.
However, those clips, I mean, there's a ton of application for that outside of just that thing right there.
Oh yeah. I've already got thoughts for,
Yeah.
bigger ones that'll get designed for fuel lines. And these are specifically made. I mean, they won't fit a -4 aluminum tube. They will only fit right now the -4 TS Flight Lines braided line, which has that. I don't know if you were messing with them when they're in there, but they have that clear vinyl over the braid, so they're thicker than normal, and that's what these were sized for. So finding something standard that fits that is difficult, and I'm probably gonna do the same thing later on with fuel lines. So there will be more stuff, but at that point it's easy. I already have it. I just got to make it bigger.
Something else. It would be something else if TS Flight Lines offered those for sale to people who use their stuff, and you could license it out to them.
True that.
Yeah.
I think they do some of their own. Well, I don't think they do, but Aircraft Specialty, which they are now a part of, I think makes a bunch of their own 3D printed stuff as well. So surprised they haven't done it, but then again, I think they're into the bigger, higher dollar things that they can make. So stuff like this is fairly labor intensive if you're trying to sell it on a mass scale. Versus
and that's what I mean is
company.
like if it, if there was a licensing agreement, you can say, you wouldn't 3D print them, they wouldn't 3D print. You just get a manufacturer to make 1,000 of them, and you get a cut of every single one that they sell. But anyways, that's a whole different thing. So are we riveting on that canoe this weekend?
Possibly. It would have to be Sunday, if anything, because
that's a better day for me.
I need to try and get something done on it. So let's see what I can get done tomorrow, and then possibly. I mean, there's no reason we can't. I just was hoping to get more done that I could reach on my own, but I don't know that that's going to happen. So I mean,
sure. Like, I mean, that's not odd. Like, I'm not put off by like I'm not going to go up and go, "Oh, what's up, Tim?
Why didn't you do anything?"
Ones. No, like I'm game to come in and get that riveting finished up. So don't feel like you have to go do the easy ones before I get there.
Sunday it is. If you want to come back by Sunday, we can
for sure.
We can knock out some more of it. And then if I get something done tomorrow, it'll all just be bonus.
Good. So I actually went out into my garage today. I've had the last 2 days. I'm like, okay, I'm blocking this time. I'm going to get into the garage and start doing some work. I've got enough flexibility right now. Man, the phone you deal with this, like, just people call you with like, but how do I do this thing? Like, I forgot how to tie my shoes. Can you help me tie my shoes over the phone? Kind of thing. Like, and the day gets hijacked. So today I'm like, I have a certain routine that I do in the morning that just like basic housekeeping for work, right? That I can have done by 8:45. I did not get in my garage until 2:30. 2:30. And I didn't do any, what I would say is real work. Like, I didn't work on any projects. It was just little stupid stuff like, okay, I will Google that for you. And then I will have ChatGPT write a succinct bullet point response to something that you should have Googled.
The big question, because you mentioned the garage, and going out there, and I know everybody wants to know, because everybody was thrilled to see you in a video working on an airplane again, even if it wasn't your own airplane. When are you going back out there to to pick up tools and start doing something to your plane again.
So that was the point. That's what I did. Like I went out.
That was
like,
today.
Yeah. So I went out there and there's something that I want to accomplish. Because I'll talk about it in a second here, but my aero factory is not an aero factory right now. It is just a big pile of crap. The things are where I left them, like the wings and all that stuff are where they left them, but then all the other surfaces are just heaped up with piles of other stuff. Because if I go in there at all, it's like for something to fix something quick with the mower or the motorcycle, and then you just take the tools and drop on the thing and walk away. And that's the mess that's in there right now. So I did go ahead and do my usual stand-up intro. And then the idea today was like, I think that today, if I had the time that I thought that I would have, I would have gotten through, just cleaned up the shop, put the motorcycles in the motorcycle part. The airplane factory becomes an airplane factory again. All the tools are back in their homes again, so we know where they are when it comes time to work. I barely got anything done. I only had, by the time I got in there, I had like an hour and 15 minutes total to work on it. And I got a little bit of rearranging done, but really, and so I forced myself to do something mechanical that was not related to the plane, but it's related to a skill that I want to use on the plane. So I did a little bit of welding, like literally 5 minutes before I ran out the door to go to the gym.
I know where that's going.
You know where that's going. Yeah.
I do know
So
where that's going.
I think I told you that I have like a broken guitar stand sitting in there because when I went down to Shannon's house to play guitar, he did something that's very on brand for him, which is not pay attention and like step on it and break a piece off. So I'm like, that thing, I've had that thing sitting, well, it was in the back seat of my truck for months. And so I just went ahead and welded that thing back on just to do it a little bit. And it's not going to come off. It's on there good. It looks terrible. It looks like broccoli. And I blew a hole in it. That's a really thin gauge. So I'm glad. I kind of wanted to do that just to see if I need to dial in settings. But I thought some more. So what Tim referred to is the aileron push tubes, the short tubes that go from the bell crank to the ailerons themselves. They are, well, there's a very specific length, but I can't remember right now. But let's just say they're like 19 inches steel tubes, and then you press in threaded rod ends into them. But then it's a really tight press fit, but they do have to be secured. So the idea is you're supposed to actually drill straight through the tube and the rod end itself where it's pressed in there and in a couple of different spots and set some rivets. Sounds really simple. It is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. There's some kind of voodoo that you have to do to be able to set a rivet on a curved surface when both sides of it are curved and they fold over. So anyways, I ended up I have an extra one. I have a third one because one of them I had to give up on and reorder. One of the things that it says in the plans is that you can weld these on if you so desire. And I had gone to ask, phone a friend, ask a couple of experts what they thought about welding it. To say I'm a novice welder would be really generous. But the two responses that I got was, boy, that material, it'd be pretty easy to blow a hole through that material. And the other one was like, I would braze it. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So,
stop making up words.
Okay, but you know what I was thinking? When I was thinking before about welding it, I was thinking you have the clean tube, you press the rod end in there, and then so the rod end, there's sort of a collar that meets flush with the top of the tube, and welding around that seam. Well, I don't know why it hadn't occurred to me earlier, but we talked about this. I'm just thinking I have a whole extra one there that has rod ends pressed into it. It has the bearings didn't set correctly. The rivets weren't set correctly, and so I had to give up on it. But it's there, so why not experiment with welding it? What could go wrong? Nothing, right? It's a garbage piece.
It's a trash piece, yeah.
But then I realized if it goes well, it's not a trash piece, and what I was thinking before about welding around that seam, that's not where you do it. I already have holes drilled passing through there. Ideally, if you, before you ever pressed the rod end in there, you drilled through the tube, pressed it in there, then you could do a plug or like a rosette weld or whatever inside the two little holes there. But the other thing that I can do, that right now I have holes that pass completely through, is just put some filler material in there, like a little piece of, like, what's the diameter of those? 4/16, like
Oh yeah.
yeah, just 4/16 steel rod, press it in like with like a drift, drift pin. So pin it, but leave it a little bit short, but pin it and weld those, and then it's clean. You don't have anything around the seam around the collar, and you can grind it flush. So that's what I'm going to do. Is
Try your hand at plug welding it.
yeah, and not.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be very much. It just has to penetrate. That's it. And then
Did
grind it clean.
yours go together super tight where you had to drive them together? Like it's not coming out even if you wanted it to come out at this point?
I was using a 4-pound sledge to get those things in there, and I worked.
Because my other thought was if yours was looser than mine, which mine is not, you could rotate it, like 30 degrees and be off center. And
I thought about that, and I also thought there is no way.
You're going to destroy something trying to rotate it at this point.
There's no way.
For those that don't know, these things are tight.
Yeah,
tight fit between the powder coat that's on the tube, I think, and the tolerance of that piece. I ended up putting mine in the freezer for a while just to try and shrink it, and I still had to beat the crap out of it putting it on there.
I put them in the I left in the freezer for like 36 hours, and I heated up the tubes.
The tube.
And then not even close. I took the Dremel and I honed the inside of the tube to try to remove enough material to get that thing in there. And then I ended up using a deep reach socket that fit perfectly over that rod end. So then I could drive the top of that deep reach socket with a 4-pound sledge to drive it.
I used a piece of walnut.
Yeah.
I made a recess for it and then beat the crap out of that with a 4-pound sledge, I think.
Then when I was thinking how I might be able to extract those, no way those are coming out. But I thought, well, if I did really want to, like, how would I do it? You'd thread a nut on the end or something so you have some grip to pull on it. And I thought about how much force it would take to pull those things out. And I thought, what creative way will I injure myself? Like, I could see, like, you'd have to put so much pulling pressure on that when they finally gave away, who knows what I would break in my body or my garage or something like that.
Fingers, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think the plug weld is a much better way to go and just put some filler in there.
Yeah. So I didn't get very far in the garage today, but I did spend some time out there and made a little bit of progress. I'm curious if this has ever happened to you. I have one set of shelves sitting near my garage door that has a bunch of random stuff on it, oil and different lubricants and gun cleaning stuff. And then I've also got I have 2 grease guns on there that are loaded up with like marine grease for, like, the bearings on my trailer and stuff like that.
Are they oozing?
Oh man, what a mess.
Houston heat.
Yeah,
it'll liquefy the grease and then it just comes dripping out of those things.
And they were on the 4th shelf. And that was really a bulk of the time, was just getting that mess kind of cleaned up and situated. And now they're on the 2nd shelf, but they're sitting on they're both sitting on some towels to soak up the mess.
Yeah, I have one in my hazmat cabinet that's sitting on the bottom shelf for that reason, and it made a mess in there, and it's still I've cleaned it up and it continues to be a problem. So I've never had that happen anywhere else I've ever lived. But here it gets hot enough that it just liquefies the grease that's in there and it just turns into oil and it comes running out. Because
of the color of it, another thing that I had sitting on the same shelf was a big jug of like car wash soap that is like a purple pinkish color. And I thought I must have punctured it because that stuff was so viscous. I thought, oh, I must have, when I set it down, I must have punctured the bottom of it and it's dripping all out. No, it's those grease covers. What a mess. Anyways,
good thing you didn't try washing a car with it.
Yeah. So, we have not recorded on Zoom before. I have no idea how this is actually going to work out. Like when I end the Zoom, it says it's
Did it
recording.
record? Yeah. Do we have anything to put out there? Maybe we'll be the only ones that ever hear or see this. So.
We'll see. There are certain things that I like about Riverside FM. One is that it's recording. We're recording remotely, but what I'm seeing of you is over the internet, so it's a lower quality, and the sound they're getting is a lower quality. But when Riverside FM, it records locally and uploads so that ultimately the finished product is high quality on both ends. My assumption is that this Zoom is recording locally here, not on your end, and so it is what it is. But at least get us through this one. But we really do want this to be a better product. I know we're not experts, but we could be a little bit better. And so one of the things we talked about is the structure of our show. If we're going to kind of set reliable segments, I have a favorite aviation podcast, the APG or the Airline Pilot Guy show. I like the way that they do it. So then we thought about, well, we should do host intros and that sort of thing, than rather just, Tim, how the hell are you? Kind of thing. So I don't know if you've done it. I've played around a little bit, kind of giving ChatGPT my aviation life story and then having them listen to the APG show to get an idea of the vibe and then try to come up with an intro that we can use or that I can use.
I have not done that yet, but I will try that. That sounds something fun to do with chat. So
I think mine was something like, let's see, in the introduction, I'm Chris, blah, 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 like that. And it said, like, my aviation story began at 4 years old in a C-130 over the Bering Sea, overrun by pirates. And I've been improvising ever since.
Nice.
Yeah. But I think it was something like,
sounds about right.
Let's see, I'm a full-time entrepreneur, Marine Corps veteran, and currently building an RV-8 in my garage. A 3-car garage that looks big on the outside, but on the inside, it's 2/3 aero factory, 1/3 motorcycle shop, and not enough room to cope with my life decisions. Something like that. So we'll work on it. But yeah, so the next time we do this, let's see, we'll try something out, and we'll see if we can get some music that actually works to where it's not just a couple idiots bobbing their heads. Because we have had at least one episode, I think, that we published where we're just bobbing our heads like idiots and there's no music, because when I process the audio with Riverside, it filters out the music. So
we heard music. Just because you don't hear music doesn't mean there's not music for us.
So I think that we're at an hour. This is a good stopping point.
Yep.
We will have much more to talk about the next time we get together. I'm looking forward to Sunday and doing some building. To our audience, this is our pledge to you. The next time we do one of these, we will still not be experts. I guarantee it. Not a chance. All right. So thanks for being here. It's a little weird that I don't have any outro music. I don't even know if this is going to make the recording. Can you hear it? You can't hear it? I'll bob my head.
I can't hear it. There you go.
It's playing. I don't know if it's on the recording.
Right.
Anyways, thanks for being here. We'll see you on Lucky episode 13. What could go wrong?
Go. See y'all in the next one.
Yeah. How do I stop this thing?
I don't know. It says we're still recording.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, did you go back?
And that's going to do it for this episode of We Are Not Experts. Assuming, of course, that any of this actually recorded. We'll find out when we hit stop or whatever button we think is stop. As always, thanks for listening, watching, or accidentally clicking on us while trying to play another podcast.